Hi folks, Christy here. Today I'm going to talk through the 9 characteristics of a good student flute. Now if you're a beginner, you are highly likely to be in research mode, about to buy your first student flute, which is really exciting but also hugely confusing and overwhelming. You are probably neck deep in a bunch of review sites online. You've got your Excel spreadsheet that has all the list of makes and models and pros and cons of each of them. And it doesn't seem to matter which flute that you might think is stacking up with more pros than cons. You'll find someone online who loves it and another person who hates it. So what do? How do you choose the best student flute for you? Well, at the end of the day, I don't necessarily think that make and model are the be-all and end-all of choosing your flute. If you can find a flute that meets these 9 characteristics of a good quality student flute, I believe that you will walk away a happy customer. So, what are these characteristics? In no particular order. Number 1, playability. This flute needs to be able to be played easily by you. It's not too heavy that it will cause strain on your neck and back. The keys, when they are pressed down, spring up lightly. When they're released, there's no audible clicking, the pads seal well, and the keys don't stick. Number 2, flute tone or sound quality. Now it might sound really obvious, but you need to like how this flute sounds. Each flute has a unique voice, if you will, and that's a result of the player's own unique embouchure, as well as the materials a flute is made of and the cut of the head joint. Now, research has shown that the definition of tone is pretty subjective, and it really can be described in a million different ways if you've done reading on the flute. Words like focused, rich and clear are considered qualities of good tone, and words like noisy, rough, breathy, airy are considered bad tone quality. Now, if you're still working on your embouchure and making a sound on the flute, it might be a good idea for you to take a more experienced player or have one of the store personnel demonstrate for you this flute, as well as you testing it yourself, of course. And that's so that you don't get a false negative, in a sense, that you think the flute might sound poor when it's really just a result of you still working on that sound quality yourself. So keep that in mind as you are shopping for a flute. And to go with tone, you're over the range of notes, the tone needs to remain good quality over the entire range, and that you can maintain some level of tuning of intonation over the range as well, and that applies also for playing loudly and softly. Repairability. The materials that this flute is made of need to be of sufficient quality that flute technicians can justify repairing them, or will even repair them in the first place. So if you buy a really cheap flute, $300 let's say, and the cost of repairs for something relatively standard like a service or repadding or something like that costs $400 to begin with, you might find that the cost to maintain this flute is not quite justified. You also need to be able to get parts, and you also need to have some assurance that the repairs that are done on this flute will hold and will last over time. And some technicians may talk you through how they feel about working on a flute that may not be of the highest quality. So be aware, cheap flutes up front might be rendered a bit useless, dare I say, in the event of breakage or damage if you can't repair them. Good resale value is another point. The advancing student quite often upgrades to an intermediate model flute after a couple of years of playing, so this is an important consideration. The types of materials that are used in the flute, the mechanical accuracy, and also the quality of the embouchure hole and head joint mean that you should get up to, say, 2/3 of the original value of the flute after a couple of years, 5 years or more. Upgradable. Now this is related, and once again The body of the flute and the foot joint need to be made of sufficient mechanical accuracy and of good enough quality materials that you can upgrade a portion of the flute instead of upgrading the entire flute, and that will extend your flute's lifetime by a couple more years. And a lot of people step up to replacing the head joint, and they might put a sterling silver head joint onto a silver plated nickel flute. And players that do that really notice a tremendous improvement in aspects like the flute's tonal colour, player response time, and just the overall ease of playing. The next is budget, and this might sound obvious too, but you need to stick within your budget. If you've only got $1,000 to spend, you will find something suitable that meets these criteria. There will always be better flutes that are better in some aspect, and you can pay multiple tens of thousands of dollars for the best materials, the best quality mechanical accuracy, a custom cut head joint that do sound above and beyond your student model. But budget, we've got to be realistic. We need to stick with that. Low ongoing maintenance costs. The flute that you select shouldn't need constant servicing in order for it to remain playable. It shouldn't need more than its standard servicing of once a year in order for you to play, but also improve in your playing. If you're finding that it's just needing constant attention, you may need to rethink whether this is the best flute for you, because it does disrupt your momentum, your practice and your playing and your performing if you're constantly having a flute in the shop. This relates also to the aspect of durability, which is my second last point. The keys and rods, the mechanisms, they need to not easily snap off or bend under just normal playing conditions. Once again, the surface or the material that the flute is made out of needs to be of a sufficient quality that it's not scratching and denting really easily. It's not tarnishing super easily. Although tarnish is a secondary problem, it's not super important. You can play with a tarnished flute. But if you're finding that there's these changes occurring with your flute under its normal sort of playing conditions, it may not be made of sufficient enough quality for you. The last point is another obvious one, that it's player satisfaction. Is this flute continuing to be pleasurable and easy to play? Are you making progress? Are you feeling like you are growing into the flute's capabilities rather than the flute holding you back from improving yours? If you're finding that you are becoming increasingly frustrated with your flute because you are just not making the progress that you think you should be, then maybe this flute is not for you. You may need to rethink whether the head joint needs to be upgraded, that the quality of manufacture might not be up to scratch because you're finding there's repair issues and maintenance issues that are ongoing. So if you are happy with this flute and you love playing it, then that's really something that should be considered as well. But you might say to me, how can I know all these things when I'm just testing my flute out for a few minutes at a time in a shop? And you're exactly right. You probably can't find out all these things all at the same time as you're purchasing this flute. But I'm going to walk you through some practical steps in another lesson of what you should do, how you should test your flute in store, and also what flutes that you should just downright avoid. And that will eliminate a lot of flutes that will give you troubles in these 9 areas. They're not going to meet these 9 characteristics. So if you can eliminate those straight off the bat, you are far more likely to find a flute that is right for you. I hope this little series has helped you, and good luck on your search finding your flute. Bye for now.